What if I were to suggest that you play a key role in the awakening world? And that you are watching this because you have heard the call. We can start right now by opening our hearts and minds. Welcome to the awakening world.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Awakening World. It's our Wednesday night show, and every couple of months we do Authors That We Love. And boy, that's a great title because we've got three wonderful authors with brand new books, and each book is going to be of interest to, I think, most of you, and each author is really, really cool. Now, you've seen two of them before. This is Linda Bjork. And Linda brings a tremendous brilliance of how to work in the business world in new ways. And we're going to learn all about that. And so it's great to have Linda with us. And coming back again is Laara, Light Codes by Laara. Now, you've seen her on a couple of the Soul Search shows before. In fact, we're doing another Soul Search show this Saturday night. But she had mentioned, I've got a brand new book coming out. I said, Laara, when that happens, you got to be on the show. And she said yes. So we're going to learn all about the next book from Laara. And then I'm really excited about our third author. He's not with us live. I've got a beautiful pre-recorded video with him, but it's Joe Posnanski. And he wrote a book called Why We Love Baseball. And I love baseball. And you know, Joe's book is right now #2 on the New York Times nonfiction bestselling list. So, and he's a great guy. You'll really enjoy my interview with him. I certainly enjoyed it. So we've got three wonderful authors that we love, and we're going to learn about their passion and their wisdom on these topics. But we got to always start our show. I call him the Alpha and Omega Man because all things begin and end with Omar Shar. Welcome, brother.
Aloha and namaste, Alpha and Omega. I am, that is for sure. Just to start us off tonight, what a great show we have ahead of us. And I'm really intrigued as to the baseball book because I'm not a sporting fan, yet I really appreciate world-class sport. So I'm looking forward to that. Here is a song called Completely Free. And it's what we all are and should be. Let's put it that way, shall we? I have been waiting for so long, and yes, I have faltered.
be completely free. With your light I can see. La 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 la.
Thank you, beautiful Omoshar, and thank you everybody for dancing and moving to the music. What a wonderful way to get us off to a great start.
And the light codes were great. And Joel, our new dancing man, dude, that was lovely.
Hey, everybody, I want to remind you that we can support Omoshar by going to his website, which is his name, omoshar.com. And you can learn all about him. And most of all, you can go to Bandcamp. And
Yeah, my
that's
second name is .com, so there it is.
there it is, absolutely. Omoshar.bandcamp.com, where we can buy his music and support him. And are you ready to meet 3 authors that we love, Omoshar?
I am. I'm very excited to meet them all. So let's go.
All right, well, here we go. So we're going right up to Linda Bjork. Linda's coming to us from the East Coast. And Linda, you know, he talked about it in his song, Opening Our Heart, and out comes beautiful things. And you've opened your heart and given birth now to 2 books, and really about creating more consciousness in business. So please tell us a little bit about your story and maybe your first book, and then we'll get to the second one.
Thank you. And thank you, Omashar. What a beautiful way. All meetings should start this way, where we can just sway and listen to beautiful tunes. Thank you. It
I
really
know the beauty of music is it gets the head out of the way so we can have a clean page with each other. So yes.
there you go. Yeah. I use meditation for that, but I got to tell you, this is sounding better.
Meditation's
So,
awesome too.
yeah. And thank you, Scott, for mentioning the whole idea about opening the heart, because that's really what my journey has been about. And let me backtrack a little bit. I'm Swedish from the very beginning, although I've lived a lot of my life in the United States. When I, in 2004, moved back from the US to Sweden after having had a career here as a creative director, and I was doing the whole corporate America thing. But to cut to the chase, I took over as a CEO in 2004 of a branding agency out of Stockholm in Sweden. And I came there with a very American attitude, even though I'm Swedish. And I had this big vision of the agency going global. And I knew what we had to do, and I was going to feel my way out. And I came there, and the agency was small, but I knew I could grow it. And that's why I was there. And I just hit straight into the Swedish wall, because our very kind of bold American pushy way just did not work in a different kind of consciousness that we have in Sweden compared to here. So it was kind of a rude awakening for me, because this is how I knew how to create results. So this was in 2004, and that started me on a journey, because it didn't go so well in the beginning. It started me on a journey of really wondering, how do I not only make a culture shift, because it seemed like there was something else that was going on. I had a very easy time landing clients. I had an easy time with the whole creative business. And I hired brilliant people, but somehow they couldn't really get to it. So what happened was that I started after these failures to look at myself and look at what is it that I do differently. And by 2006, the answer was just so clear to me. I had been at that time meditating daily, transcendental meditation for 10 years. And I didn't realize that, wait, what I'm doing there and what I can create from having what I now know is a much more healed nervous system, a healed subconscious mind. I go into a different kind of consciousness much easier because of this training that honestly I just saw as a hobby. I just happen to do it every day. And so I totally switched gears with my staff. So I took them out of the language courses and the sales tactics and, personality profiling stuff that we had done just to get, all these things we do here in America to push, right? And so in 2007, and remember, this is early, it actually started in 2006, I introduced mindfulness to my staff. And all of us started on a joint meditation journey. Now, it was a little sensitive back then, calling it meditation, so we called it focus training. Especially male designers and creatives and account directors, they were okay with focus training, right? I was just like, yeah, well, whatever we call it, we're going to do it, right? And so that started a whole other way for me to play with this wonderful world called business. And it resulted in extraordinary levels of wellness, of creativity, and then the results started coming in. In 2007, we landed 7 out of 7 pitches, and in the advertising and design world, that's a lot. Like you don't do that, right? But we did, and then of course there were all these different events that happened in the world. First you had the stock market crashing and you had all these things happening, and we just did better and better and better, and we were top 5 most profitable agency in Scandinavia for a long time. And people started paying attention. And I started to, when I was in media, they were referring to me as the meditating CEO. And that's when I also started to play with intuition in the workplace. And I started to play with, so I had a new business project with manifestation intuitive stuff. And then I had a new business project with pushing the normal way. And it was just fascinating with all the findings. So what also happened in 2009 was that we became agency of the year. We opened in New York. We added more and more global clients, and I got to my vision, but not at all the way that I had planned out. So that's when I decided that this is what I want to do. This is what I want to spend my time doing. And in 2014, when I jumped ship, I didn't jump ship, but it was a 2-year thing in the making that I was exiting. And then 2014, we had 5 global clients, and I felt very good about leaving the agency that had quadrupled from when I got there, not by pushing, not by doing what we always do in business. So I wrote the book that I wanted to have had from the very beginning, and I called it Inner Business. And this was really a mind training book for people in my position that wanted to make a difference in business but wanted to do it differently. So this came out in 2016, and I still love it. Like I still think it's a really it's a darling book in a lot of ways. And
It's important to love our children, Linda. It's okay.
yes, I know. I know. It's kind of, and I don't mean it in a self-promoting way. I just mean when you're in when you're in that alignment, it just sort of falls into place, right?
Yeah.
And so that's when I started a whole new career of doing this full time, of instead of just doing this work and taking high performance to a completely different level. And those inquiries that had come to me, they needed to be explored in a much deeper way. And so that's when I really started looking at, well, what is it that happens in meditation? What kind of journey are we on in our own minds? What is the mind? What is the conscious mind versus the subconscious mind? This is where you're going to have such a great time listening to Laara a little later, because one of the things that was so important for me in my finding was the space to heal in the workplace. And so even now, when I do leadership programs, it really has so much to do about healing our negative beliefs, as I call them in business. What they really are wounds, right? And they're subconscious woundings. And there are a lot of Trojan horses still that I have to have there. And because the business world is getting more and more ready. And one of the reason that the business world is getting more ready is because of my now co-author, Stephanie Mitchko, who until recently was the CTO of Charter Communications. So if you pay attention, she's a woman. She was the chief technology officer for a Fortune 100 company. So that's pretty big as a role, right, in this business world. And because of people like her championing conscious leadership, embodying that in the way that she is leading her teams and being gutsy enough to actually invite this kind of weird work into her corporate world. So the business world is getting more ready for this inner exploration, for what business would call this is the soft part. They just don't realize what a hard punch it packs, right? But that's what we call it, soft skills. And that's really what the business world is getting ready for. And that's when I'm coming to my other book, because in these years now, from 2016 up until now, I've been working with corporations. I've even been working with the Army, the US Army. I've been working with everything from startup people to fashion designers to what have you. Very industry non-specific, because what we're all doing is that we're working on our minds, right? And one of those people that I've met along the way is the wonderful, kick-ass Stephanie Mitchko. And we have now written a book together that just came out like Friday, and it's called Mind Skills: Unleash Your Potential to Lead in the Big Leagues. So from here, as much as Inner Business was a book that was more of a personal journey, and just talking about this kind of work in a different way, here we're bringing it to the big leagues. And of course, as I'm sure your audience, Scott, already understands, is that we're not talking necessarily about the big leagues as a Fortune 100 company. We're not talking about the big leagues as being the best and the biggest and the brightest. We're talking about finding that the big leagues are actually within ourselves. So yeah, that's where I am right now with this journey, and I'm super thrilled to have this type of work out in the world. I can't think of a better place to be right now than to work with leadership in companies.
It's so important, and I'm just really grateful that you're doing what you're doing, Linda. I've got a
Thank
question for
you.
you. So I'm going to give you the
Of
question. You can
course.
think about it for a minute while I show you websites. The question is going to be, what is one example of a mind skill that you can share tonight that maybe is applicable to some or all of us? So that's the question.
Sure. Yeah.
While you ponder your response, here's how people find out about you. Now, I've put it into the chat box, but most of you are watching on Facebook or on one of our broadcast partners. So to learn about Linda's Inner Business Institute, go to her name, which is Linda Bjork, Linda, Linda Bjork, BJORK.org, lindabjork.org. And really is so much beautiful stuff here. There's keynotes and lectures and opportunities to really learn. But then there is what we're all excited about, the new book, Mind Skills. And there actually is a different website now to go to for Mind Skills, and that is Mind
Yes.
Skills, the book. Maybe there'll someday be Mind Skills, the movie. But right now it's
That's right.
mindskillsthebook.com, and it's available now at Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and Amazon Sweden, because of course she is Swedish.
This
So
is all very true. Yeah.
it's true. Linda, what's a mind skill you'd be willing to share with us?
Ooh, we have so many good ones. I used a mind skill today that I can share, and I sort of reminded myself about the mind skills in the book. And it is the mind skill of setting boundaries. There are so many people who want to be heart-based and heart-based leaders, and they're having a hard time finding their own boundaries within that desire of being kind, empathetic, and caring. So here's a formula for setting boundaries. First, you formulate for yourself what is okay for you. Then you formulate for yourself what is not okay for you. So those are the two sides of a boundary. What's okay, what's not okay. And then what you do is that when you communicate a boundary, it's much more effective to communicate the positive part of it, what is okay. And I noticed this, especially in business, that we're a little tough. So when we're setting a boundary, we tend to communicate the negative part of the boundary, and that can very easily backfire just because of human psychology. And then the fourth step, when we have said what's okay, what's not okay, communicate the affirmative, we also need to be prepared to communicate what consequences there will be for overstepping your boundary. And if you have all of these steps when it comes to boundary setting, you're going to do super well with having a big heart as you lead in business or as you lead your life, and still be able to not be a pushover, not feeling like your integrity is always tested, because you know how to set a boundary in a kind way.
Beautiful. You know, one of the things that I teach as Love Coach Scott is how to set boundaries with compassion. And that's, you know, it's interesting. Way back in the day, when we would have audio cassettes, when I would travel and teach with audio cassettes, and I had 20 different audio cassettes, you know, on the table in the back as I led my workshop. How to set boundaries with compassion outsold everything 3-1. And it really taught me
Wow.
that at least most of my audience, I think most of the people we work with, either set boundaries harshly without compassion, or they don't know how to set boundaries. And so I
That's
love what
right.
you're saying, because it is a trick to find that sweet spot of being clear, setting the boundary, while still
Yeah.
letting your client or your friend or the other person know that you care, you know? So
Yeah.
that's a good one. Okay, we have time for one more Linda tool, and then I think we're going to get to our evening meditation. And welcome to, oh good, our meditator is here. Welcome to everybody watching in Twin Ray Land, coming into our meditation, but we're going to have one more tool from Linda, and then we'll go to Nicholas.
Oh, you want one more tool?
I want more. I want an encore.
You know, my mind is actually going to this brilliant formula for dealing with very difficult people.
Mm.
And this comes up often in business because there are a lot of people seeking conflict in business. They don't know that they're doing it. And so there's a wonderful formula where when you communicate with very difficult people, you have to remember the word BIFF, BIFF. And this is from the High Conflict Person Institute. And the way you communicate with someone who always tries to create drama and misunderstand everything, just a high conflict person, you keep it brief, you keep it informative, you keep it friendly, and you keep it firm. Never try to compete about feelings. Don't even mention emotions when it comes to high conflict people. Don't talk about the past because no one has had it worse than them. And this is why it's so important not to compete emotionally with them, because you're not going to win, right? And there's so much to say about how to interact with a high conflict person. But if you remember to keep your communication brief, informative, friendly, and firm, at least you're going to have a way to have a much for yourself. You're going to take care of yourself in that communication. There's so many counterintuitive things with very high conflict people, so that when we go to our normal toolbox of apologizing or giving instructions to be clear, those things are kind of out the window. So brief, informative, friendly, and firm, and you're going to do just fine.
I love it. I'm going to add Biff to my toolbox of relationship.
Yes.
I am going to add it. I've got one that is BSW. No BSW. BSW stands for bad, stupid, or wrong. Meaning when we say something, to make sure that it cannot be interpreted as you're bad, or you're stupid, or you're wrong. So between no biffing, or biffing instead of BSWing, that's how we'll do it. No BSW,
Yeah.
always biff. Linda.
I love that. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Scott. You have created such an extraordinary tribe here, and I'm so honored to be here with the other fabulous authors and, of course, your fabulous tribe. Thank you again.
And one last thing, you are going to be doing a wonderful program for Peace Week. Of course, we've been promoting Peace Week all along. We've done events for Peace Week, and you've got a really fun one with Chief Dwayne and some of your friends on the East Coast this Saturday morning, 10:30 East Coast time, 7:30 in the morning, early for us West Coasters. And tell us briefly about that, and then we're going to go to Nicholas and our meditation.
It's a global peace event where we're coming together for peace and unity. It's an indigenous ceremony. So it's a big indigenous framing of a ceremony that will also include flags from all nations and many tribal flags. And we're going to have indigenous music. We're going to have a beautiful lineup of interfaith people who will speak blessings of peace into the world.
Beautiful. I'll put the link into the chat box. Linda, thank you so much for what you're doing in the world, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you. Thank you, and likewise. Take
care, Linda. We are going to go to Nicholas, who's going to lead our evening meditation, and then we've got Light Codes by Laara coming up. So it's a beautiful show. And for most of you now know, but some of you may not, that every night we are offering a meditation. And Nicholas is our Wednesday night meditation guy. He is the resident yogini at the Haven in Ashland, where I am so blessed to be spending a lot of time and putting on events with Mother Deborah. And welcome to the Awakening World, Nicholas.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you for having us. Thank you. Always a pleasure.
It's beautiful to have you. And I'm just going to turn it right over to you, brother, to lead us on tonight's meditation.
Okay. We'll begin. I It's my second time now, and I'd love to just weave in what's alive in the field and bring that into an internal experience through meditation. And what I felt come up in the sharing that I was able to catch was what the yogis speak of is the space between. That's that neutrality, being able to witness, observe, so to say, the negative and positive, and be able to choose and align with the path within. And in that neutrality is a true, real love. So we'll go into that space with the deep breath in to unite, and the sigh out. Twice more. Full inhale, and the sigh out. Begin to rub the hands a bit to bring a deeper awareness into your own body, into your field. Feel the sensation. Create a bit of warmth. Find a length in the spine, a softness in the shoulders. And begin to still in the hands. Find a neutrality, prayer mudra. And feel the power in this posture. Invoke a posture of peace, neutrality. Align through the spine here and now. Connected and grounded through the root. Aligned through the crown. Connecting to truth, to source. Anchoring into the heart. Calm and steady. And to take it deeper into the heart with the fingers, begin to alternate tap right at the heart center on the sternum. Let the eyes remain closed, smooth and steady with the breath in and out through the nose. Stay soft in the shoulders, tall in the spine, and be one-pointed with the mind, observing the sensation of the fingers tapping the chest rhythmically, continually, one tap after the other, one breath after the other, here and now. With each breath, feel the lungs expand just a bit more, deepening the breath. Fully in and fully out. Continue to tap. With each inhale, breathing in presence, here and now. And with each exhale, releasing, softening the body, little by little. Just a few more rounds. Okay, let's pause. Bring the left hand over the heart center, right on top. Find the deepest breath in. At the top of the inhale, pause and lift the spine, shoulders back, up and out through the crown, grounded through the root. And exhale. Drop deeper into the heart, calm and steady. Feel the beat of the heart and observe any sensations, what's alive in your field, what's present. Through our hearts, may we unify into the field of one, into the field of love, of truth. May we invite in divine support and grace to support us, to hold space, presence, a posture of peace in this space in between. Neutrality. As you settle deeper into the space within, here and now, connect to your true nature, the natural rhythm within. In the space of wonder and discovery, exploring each sensation, each breath, each beat of the heart. Allowing what arises to arise, and allowing what passes to pass. Dwelling within and seeing what remains. As you breathe each breath, contemplate who is the breather of the breath. Deepen into the heart, into the space in between. Remember your true nature. If the hands are still remaining over the heart, allow them to now relax down in a comfortable position. Let the palms face up. Deepen our presence, bringing a bit more awareness, focus to the breath. As we inhale, breathe in from the earth, breathe in through the toes, all the way up to the nose. And as you exhale, exhale back down from the nose, all the way out through the toes. Continue this cycle. Breathe in through the toes, all the way up to the nose, and out through the nose, all the way down to the toes, smooth and steady. Observe how that makes you feel. Observe the current of the breath Feel its tone, its texture, turning deeper within to that true nature, the space in between, the observer, the witness, that which truly cannot be described. In from the earth, the toes all the way up to the nose, and all the way up. Keep that focus smooth and steady. Contemplate how it makes you feel, here and now, fully present. Softness in the jaw, with the eyes closed, focused to the space between the brows.
Yeah, no, this is really interesting because many years ago I went to a life directions workshop, and this was the places that I envisioned. So when we started, this was great because I had a meditation that I also had reading lots of experiences. Yeah.
And now, relax any focus or effort of the breath. Let the breath breathe you. Let the breath breathe you. Allow it to be effortless. And as you do so, to begin to crystallize this meditation, let the fingertips touch each other like a teepee in front of the heart center, about 4 inches in front of the chest. Let the elbows stay relaxed, shoulders soft, tall through the spine. Effortless with the breath, connecting deeper in to the natural rhythm within. What is this thing that all teachers, artists, musicians, on and on speak of, sing and paint about? The experience within, how you feel that, how it's real to you. It's the most precious gift to give to yourself. To yoke that relation. As all fingertips come touching together at the heart center, may it invoke a grand harmony, unity, neutrality of all that we are, into alignment with our truth, our true nature, true essence, here and now. To remember the way of the heart and trust the heart's wisdom. May it be so. Taking a deep breath in, pausing at the top, and as you pause at the top, Let the palms kiss, uniting into prayer mudra. Thumbs into the sternum. And through the mouth, slowly exhale, let the breath fall out. Remaining here for one more round. Through the nose, deep breath in. And really press those palms together, and then palms into the sternum. Lift the spine even taller, shoulders back. And let the breath fall out of the mouth. Thank you all very much. Thank you for allowing me to guide this experience. Much love to you all.
Thank you very, very much, beautiful, beloved brother Nicholas. You bring so much peace and such beautiful energy. Thank you so much. And it's good to feel the vibe from the Haven. We hear a little bit of noises, but we get that beautiful Haven vibe. And look forward to seeing you every Wednesday night. Thank you so much for being with us.
It's my honor. Thank you for having me. Have a great night, everyone.
Take care, brother. We're going to be going to Light Codes with Laara in just a moment, but one of our absolute favorite human beings has entered. I'm almost as excited as a little kid when Santa Claus shows up, because it's Zenka Caro. And Zenka, of course, is someone who is just filled with love, filled with excitement. And I invited her to come in and tell us about a really cool thing starting tomorrow. So it's like, okay, we got to have Zenka come in. So Zenka, tell us about Contact 250.
Yeah, thank you so much, Scott. And thanks to everyone for taking the time to do that meditation we just did. Thank you so much for doing that. It's so, we live in these busy worlds. And so it's so nice to close down some time and listen in. And that's basically what we're doing for Contact 250. We are taking some time to bring a group coherence. We know how powerful it is when we can meditate together in coherence. And what are we meditating for? A global renaissance with contact involved. A lot of the people are talking about how there's a new galactic renaissance coming, and we're right at the middle of disclosure and, witness protection, and all these things are happening. But we as citizens, you and I, can go in and we can learn these ancient techniques. I used to think that contact was modern. Well, it's not. The Hopi have been using it for hundreds and hundreds of years. The Vedic have techniques that they used 3,000 years ago. So Altair is going to be bringing all these things together and teaching them to everyone. We usually do 8-week sessions. We're going to do this all in 5 nights. The first night, we're going to look at your astrology and your map and figure out what star nations were around when you were born, and to look at your star lineage. And then we're going to spend 3 hours every night doing ancient techniques and tools, along with modern techniques, which I like to bring in. And then we're going to be under the stars for an hour. So if you are interested in tapping into your special abilities, this is a good way to do it. We're going to be raising our vibration as a group very, very high. And so that's going to happen. You can learn to call in ships. You can learn to lucid dream. These are the mystery school techniques that have kind of remained out of a lot of the texts. This is the mystical Christianity. This is the, Kabbalistic Judaism. These techniques we're going to be showing you guys because it's your birthright to know. And it's really fun. So lightnet.org is where you can go. We have discounts for students and seniors if you do 250 decount. We also have hardship scholarships for anybody that may need one. You can email us at team@lightnet.org. And we kick off tomorrow. There's going to be all sorts of archives. We have a 96% success ratio in helping people make contact. So if you're nervous about it, I don't know how to do it, this sounds scary, we're going to hold your hand in a loving way through the whole process. We've got incredible people involved, all showing up to do this. And it's really a loving community. So if you've been curious about this or you want to deepen your contact, this is a great chance for you to do that. And we kick off tomorrow in the equinox.
And I really want to encourage people to do it. I did the Contact 100 program. It was amazing. Zenka and Stephen Elter are so much fun. And they've been on this show a couple times now, and they're two of our most popular guests. And they're taking what used to be like far out and making it fun, and most of all, making it real. Like it really happens. Like people really have very real experiences. It's like, Zenka, I think really now is the time that for whatever reason, the veils are so thin and there's such an availability for us to have contact, whether it's with our beloveds on the other side or with our galactic family. More and more people are reporting to me, Scott, I'm seeing sightings, I'm seeing ships now. It's really happening, and maybe it's a 100th monkey kind of thing. Like the more that we believe, the more that we can see and have these experiences.
Yeah, exactly. And once you guys have an anchor in a couple of experiences, they're going to get stronger and you're going to be able to teach others how to do it. And it's super joyful and it's super fun and it's unbelievable. I was here with my son the other night. We were interacting. I was just like, it's wondrous. It's like, the frontier used to be across the ocean and now we just look up and we look in. That's the paradox of it. You know what I mean? There's different ways to make contact. And so it's really fun and we have a lot of fun. Altair is a powerhouse. He's very loving and very powerful. So it's good to just learn from him while you can. And we hope that you share all the techniques you learn and we know it'll improve your life. So yeah.
So again, everybody go to lightnet.org, lightnet.org. You can get all the details right there. People can email you if they, since it starts tomorrow. Yeah.
Yes.
And let's have fun. Let's do this.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks so much, Scott. Thanks to your loving community. After Altair was on your show last year, we were doing Contact 100. He's like, we want to be the galactic peace tribe. And it's like, and so we especially want to empower you guys because your heart's already in the right space. So you guys will be really making really great contact, I know. So yeah.
I love you, Zenka. You're
Love
the
you
best.
too, Scott.
All right, take care.
Okay, bye.
She really is so much fun. I had the pleasure when I was on my last trip to Sedona. I lived in her place for a week. Every day, every night, she had amazing things going on. People blindfolded and like learning how to do magical things. And she does everything with so much fun. She's really, really cool. All right, speaking of really cool people, I am so impressed with you, Laara. Both times that you've been on before, I've gone, whoa, and just, and really it fits right in with what Zenka just talked about in many ways. So tell our audience about your work with the light codes.
Well, thank you so much, Scott. It's always such a pleasure to be here. And once again, you have such an incredible lineup of people and everyone who has spoken, I'm just like, wow, yep, that fits into what we're doing here with the light codes books. And so it's really neat how everybody's just on the same page and then bringing in their unique gifts and talents from slightly different angles to get all these different perspectives and ways to bring forward all this incredible conscious energy. And wow, what a time to be alive and be a part of this movement. That's all I can say. So yeah, with that being said, so I'm an author of light codes books. I work with light language and light codes. I speak multiple dialects. I lost count of how many dialects, because whatever dialect I try to speak, I realize I can. So I don't even know how many now. But the light codes books that I channel are universal light language. So this is beyond like a dialect. If we were to say tune into a specific star family energy, it's inclusive of that and beyond that. So what we're doing is we're including all of those star energies, as well as going up to higher realms, which are inclusive of the higher self, the soul, even like the monad and source sort of consciousness. So that's how they're universal light codes. So this is how everyone has an opportunity to work with these codes because it's non-specific, it's very inclusive. So with our first book was the Little Book of Light Codes, and this book, I can relate to what our first author said, Linda, because she was saying, this is my baby. This is my baby, and it continues to amaze me. This thing holds such incredible space in my house and in my life. And I had no idea what was being created when I decided to turn 56, 52, sorry. I get the numbers mixed up. There's 52 light codes in this book, one for each week of the year. And it continues to hold amazing space in my life. And when I finished that book, I knew that there was going to be more books. So we had our second book come out, which was Light Codes for the Soul, which was an entirely different structure, totally different book. And then I sort of, for the third book, I wanted to revisit the first book and its structure, because what we had done was we had a light code, the universal light language name for that code, the short description of what it meant, and then a channeled message on what Spirit had to say about the topic of the light code, and then a way to work with it. So most of the time it's meditation, but sometimes, Spirit has some other suggestions and ways to work with the light codes, which can be worked with all of the light codes. But sometimes when I have a certain topic at hand, it can be useful to utilize some different tools, but meditation always works with all of them, which is really nice, or just staring at them, that works too. But my third book, which is being released tomorrow, is Ascension Codes. And this is the Little Book of Light Codes, Volume 2. So we copied the same format as the first Little Book of Light Codes, the very first book that I channeled. And we have a light code. And then, other side, there we go. Then we have the light language name, and then how to pronounce it, because sometimes some of these things get really difficult. And then actually this is like a little quote, which I found very handy because it's a very quick, nice way to get the vibe of the message that's going to come through. And then the text that goes along with the light code, and then the way to work with it. So there are 36 of these codes in the Ascension Codes book. And just so you know, this bar across the center here, this is there because it's a proof. It hasn't been officially released yet. So this is like an author copy. So if any of you do decide to purchase this book, you won't have that funny bar across. So you'll be able to see the symbol in the middle of the book much more clearly. So this book took on a very different energy to the Little Book of Light Codes Volume 1, which was released in 2019. In 2019, I was just learning how to channel. I was really more at the beginning stages of my healing process, but still the channeling was very good. Like I look back and go, yeah, this is still good quality work. Not to toot my own horn, but we can also always be very critical of ourselves, and I feel it holds incredible integrity, all of the messages in it, and it took a look at very normal issues that I feel that humanity comes up against, especially in our healing and awakening process. So there's codes in there for letting go, or connecting to universal love, or the love that you are, things that are incredibly important. And the codes themselves will take us as deep or as far as we want to go on those topics, which is amazing, because that's the magic of light codes, is they act like this portal. There's like, here's this little squiggle of lines on a page that you stare at, meditate on, however it is that you choose to work with it. And if you can just soften yourself to experience the energy that it has to share with you, then your higher aspects are going to come in and take you to wherever you need to go as an individual in this particular moment in time, with all that you have going on in your life, for better or worse, and give you the healing energies, the information, whatever it is that you need. And so this is why we can go back to these codes time and time again and get a whole new experience. So the Little Book of Light Codes was like a really awesome foundation. And I've had people say that, like, wow, this should be a staple in everyone's bookshelf. The Ascension Codes book, volume 2, this is a book that I started writing beginning of last year. And well, actually, no, it was even the fall of the year before. It's been going on for a while. And I was amazed because Spirit had told me that basically the codes and the messages that come through, this is the order of the book. I wasn't even going to have to rearrange it, which I thought was pretty cool because I had to rearrange them with the first book because they just came through at random. But this time there was like a definite structure to it. And after every channeling, I said to myself, wow, that's amazing. And I got really excited. And then at a certain point last year, I think it was about in May, I couldn't channel anymore. I had to stop. And I had ambitions to have this book finished last fall, like literally a year ago. And it just wasn't happening. I thought, you know what? I'm not going to put pressure on myself. This is going to come through when it needs to come through. I don't know what the energies, what has to happen. Well, as it turns out, I was graduating my spiritual program that I had been in for 5 years. And part of the graduation ceremony was an ordination. So I went to my very last workshop with my beloved teachers, Rosalind Briere and Ken Weintraub, from the Healing Light Center Church, and graduated in Cincinnati, Ohio. We drove all the way there from Vancouver Island, BC, Canada. I don't know if you guys know how far that is, but that's like several days of driving. We drove there. It was a fantastic trip. And I received this incredible blessing to be now a reverend. Amazing. And when I got home, I finished the book. Mm-hmm. So I literally had written about 2/3 of the Ascension Codes, and the final third was after this ordination. And when I look back on it now and the codes that came through, it was like I understood why I had to receive that blessing first. So it is my honest wish and hope and prayer that the people who read this book can feel that powerful energy come through. And the whole book is structured in a way where it takes, the very first code is completely magical. Like, I've started reading this book with fresh eyes, because once you get it off your computer and get it into book form, it's an entirely different thing. Like this is now an entity unto itself. It has been birthed. It's a completely different deal. But the very first light code, let's see if I can flip to it really quickly here. It blew my mind when I worked with it just a few days ago. So this was the code. And I sat with it for a good, 5 to 10 minutes. And I had to stop my brain from thinking, what's this supposed to be? What am I supposed to experience? And I channeled the thing. Like, I am intimately familiar with the information on these pages. And yet I still had to correct myself and soften my expectations. And once I did, it was the most purely sparkly, magical, incredible energy that I can't even believe. So this one is about creating a sacred connection. And then we flip through and we get to expanding awareness and connecting with the sacred fire, releasing the past, connecting with innocence or baby chi. And so we're building the energy about connecting to that eternal self, the infinite realms of possibilities, sort of what we were experiencing there in that meditation. I was listening to some of that language and going, aha, another amazing connection. Thank you, Spirit. Be who you came here to be. That's this code. So we're building the energies, getting more and more clarity on what we are, who we are. And it's for the purpose of getting to the final code, which I'm almost there, which is the Godhead. And this code is, I mean, I don't have words for it. I mean, there are words on this page, obviously, but the experience of this code, along with all of the codes, but this code in particular is just, it's exquisite. It's beyond what any language could use to describe it. It just would be inadequate. So it really is a book of experiences and of love and self-development, self-exploration, and being brave, and not only stepping deeper into who you are as an individual, but to who and what the collective is. Yeah.
I so appreciate everything that you're doing, and curious, one of the people actually on Facebook, I was just checking our Facebook pages, wants to know what are some of the tips that you would give for trusting to put out publicly channeled information. You know, how did you get past maybe any fear of being ridiculed or people not believing you? I'm kind of condensing what was a very long question, but I hope I'm condensing it correctly for you, Raquel, who's out on Facebook land and asked that question.
It's a completely understandable question, and I relate to it completely, because yeah, just living in this day and age where we can share all the information. You know, there are no filters on a lot of people, and so there is the very real possibility that we will be judged, and that's just the time that we're living in. So I had to come to a place where you kind of have to just step out and do it. And if you're really concerned, then you can always share your channeled information with someone who you know and trust, who can sort of give you that confidence to know that it's real and not something that you're just making up. But at the same time, almost everything in a sense is channeled. Like when we just speak freely, we're in a channel and we're allowing this information and energy to flow through us. And that's real no matter what way you spin it. So, you know, you can find confidence in just knowing that. But I shared my channeling with mentors who were experienced channelers and could feel the energy. And when you read channeled material from other people, there's certain words and almost, I want to say, signature patterns in the language that of channeled work. So that can be helpful too. I don't recommend reading that sort of content and patterning yourself after it, because of course you want to be authentic to your own channel, but it can just be helpful to bridge that gap. But really, you have to just be brave and trust that you've got this, and go out on a limb and do it.
Beautiful. Another question that came in for you is, how do you know that it's clear channeling as opposed to your imagination?
So this is a really, really good question. when we're channeling, our mind, when our mind is able to get quiet and we can tune into our heart and we can feel this flow of energy, like there are fewer hiccups, let's say. There's fewer ums and ahs and what was the thing? There's fewer of that and more of just ease of flow. A lot of even what I've said tonight, you could even say was channeling, that I'm channeling a part of myself that is well versed in the knowledge of the material. And but in any case, so there's when we channel and we're not in that good alignment and we're in our judgmental brains and we're not connected to our heart, then it's not going to be a clear channel. It's definitely going to be distorted, and you can feel it in the quality of the energy. And really good way to discover for yourself how pure or clean the channel is by recording it and listening to it back and seeing how it feels to you, because there's a very distinct difference between being the channeler and having that energy flow through you and being the receiver of that energy. So this is why, like, I can say I know this book intimately because I channeled it, for heaven's sakes, but it's a completely different experience being a reader and taking it in. It's a completely different experience if I'm speaking to you in light language. And if I watch that back and listen to it for myself, it's a completely different experience. So those are some tools that you can use for yourself to help build your confidence, build your clarity, and any heart work that you can do is always going to be super beneficial, because you can't channel without the heart.
Right. Well, thank you so much. You really, I so appreciate how eloquent you are. Both you and Linda are very, very eloquent, and obviously doing really beautiful work. And you are a total awakening world type person, because you really are playing your role in helping to awaken our planet. And people are talking about how inspiring you are. So thank you for your inspiration.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I love being here.
Well, can you come back again soon?
Anytime.
Okay, I'm gonna take you up on that, definitely. Again, here is where you'll find it: Peacock Wisdom Publishing, and there's the Ascension Codes kind of document. And again, there's all about Laara. And Laara, thank you so much for being with us. I've put all your information into the chat box. And for those of you watching on Facebook, this is why you want to join the Global Peace Tribe and come on into the Zoom room, where we can get your questions more easily, and we can get you the links, and oftentimes people offer discounts and things like that. So join the Global Peace Tribe. It's easy. Just go to globalpeacetribe.com. Laara, oh yes.
Sorry, the book releases tomorrow. And so it's available on Amazon and other, well, whatever your favorite retailer is. It's available worldwide tomorrow.
Can you put the link in? Because I don't have that link. I have the link to your website, but put the link in where people can get that, and I'll go there in a moment. And while she's doing that, I wanted to also just show you what Linda, our previous presenter, had been talking about. This is what's going to be happening on Saturday morning. They'll start at 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock, but it will go live on the Peace Week channel at 7:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Eastern, a global gathering of peace and unity. And just a reminder that we really are encouraging everybody, if you haven't already, and I know a lot of our people have already joined Peace Week, but if you haven't yet, go to peaceweek.org, peaceweek.org, and that's where you can register to attend. It's free to register. And then you go to the schedule, that's where you find all the events. I just did a wonderful panel today, which was really, really, really fun. You just scroll down and you can see all the different events that are happening. And we'll go down real quickly and we'll find the one that she was talking about. Looks like we need to load more events. And do you see how many things that are going on here? I mean, it's incredible. I think we've seen at least 12 events just on September 21st alone. And so it's really incredible how many wonderful people are part of Peace Week. This one's going to be very powerful, what's happening. And also when I get to it, my God, I'm still on September 21st. This is rather remarkable. I should have pulled this up earlier, but I was busy looking at everybody on Facebook. On Friday, the 22nd, I want to alert everybody to an event that I'm definitely going to be watching, which is our friends Shri and Kira have put together an incredible group of indigenous elders that are coming to their place in Ecuador. And there's going to be this incredible, I've used the word incredible too many times. I'm going to have to come up with other ones. They have put together a number of people coming together from all these different tribes, and they're going to be in person at their location in Peru to celebrate peace. And so that's
Ecuador.
very special. Did I pass it, Omashar?
No, there it is. Rainforest Renaissance.
Rainforest Renaissance. There it is.
That's actually in Ecuador, not Peru.
Thank you. Did I say Peru?
Doesn't matter.
I'm going too fast. This is going to be quite special. 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific. And again, you can find all of this. Just go to peaceweek.org, go to the schedule. And then moving on to the 22nd, and you can see this is, well, it's not, that's interesting. It's not listed here. And for Humanity, 8 a.m. 9. Oh, here, well, a little more events. I apologize, you guys. Usually I've got a little more together. Here it is. This is the event that Linda was talking about, 10:30 Eastern, 7:30 Pacific time. So go to Peace Week. You'll get overwhelmed with how many options there are, but it's worthwhile. And Laara, I'm going to go to what you just clicked. That's a big click. But there you go. If we go to Amazon.com, that's where you can find it. And it's going to be a #1 new release tomorrow. Ascension Codes, the little book of light codes. And congratulations. And look, everybody, you can I'm going to do that right now. You can pre-order it for 99 cents, for heaven's sakes. So I am going to read now in the Kindle Cloud Shipper. I do have Kindle. I will deal with that. There's all the books that I use on Kindle. So, Laara, thank you so much. Okay. The next and our third and final author, many of you know that I love baseball. And if you take a look at the New York Times #2 bestseller book list, there's Joe Posnanski's book, Why We Love Baseball. And I actually went to an event. I guess, can I do it? How do we do this? There we go. Why We Love Baseball. It's a wonderful book. It's 50 different moments in baseball that capture it. And even if you're not a baseball fan, many of these stories are heartwarming. It transcends just knowing the game, because it's really all about the heart of the human beings that have these experiences. And so when I've been reading Joe Posnanski for many, many years. He's by far and away my favorite sports writer. I subscribe to his blog, and every day I get Joe's blog and I read it, and it's one of my favorite things to do every day. So when I saw that he was coming out with this book, I thought, oh my God, I wonder if I can interview Joe for The Awakening World. And right away I reached out to his publicity person, and she arranged it. And so about 2 weeks ago, I did the interview with Joe. And then he came to San Francisco on his book tour last Thursday night. I went there, I met him, I asked a couple of questions, we hung out. It was really, really fun. So I'm really excited to share this interview with you. And I hope you'll enjoy it, and you'll see what a great guy he is. He's just Well, he's filled with love, just like Laara, just like Linda, just like Omashar, just like all of you. We do it all with love, don't we? So it's my pleasure to introduce you to my new friend, Mr. Joe Posnanski. So many of you know I'm a big baseball fan, and I love this author. We call this authors that we love. I truly love this guy. His love of baseball is so powerful in it. Honestly, everything that he writes about baseball is done with so much love. It's not done with cynicism or skepticism, but absolute love of the game, but a lot of wisdom. And so he has a brand new book called Why We Love Baseball. And so I am delighted to be interviewing someone who's a hero of mine, honestly. Welcome, Joe Posnanski, to the Global Peace Tribe and to our Awakening World show.
That's amazing. Thank you for having me.
So tell us a little bit just about how did you fall in love with baseball? What's it meant to you?
Oh, it's meant so much to me. I mean, and I think for me, it starts the way I think it does for most people. It starts with my father. Uh, I am a first generation American, and my father came to this country just a couple of years before I was born, and sort of came with the knowledge that if he was going to raise an American son, he was going to teach him baseball. So he learned baseball mainly, I think, to teach me, and of course, fell in love with the game himself. And I just it's been a part of my life. We used to have those old home movies, which eventually we lost in a flood or something. But the very earliest home movies we had was of me swinging a little wiffle ball bat at a baseball. It goes back for me as far back as I can remember. My earliest memories, so many of them, are revolve around playing baseball. We didn't have much, but we would usually go to one doubleheader a year. I grew up in Cleveland, and those games stand out in my mind so much. And I just continued to love the game, and I think loved it, probably the same way you did, which is, at different ages you love something different about the game. When I was very young, it was just about the excitement of it, and the smell of popcorn and cotton candy and all of those things. And then you get older, and I started loving playing the game. I loved box scores and keeping up with the game, baseball cards. And so I think it just kind of continued to grow as I grew older.
I totally relate. My dad was born and raised in Brooklyn, was a big Brooklyn Dodger fan. He then moved to LA, and 2 years later, the Dodgers moved to LA.
Wow.
And so I was weaned on Koufax, Drysdale, Maury Wills. And the very first year I was old enough to really follow baseball, it was 63 when we swept the Yankees.
Wow.
So I was just hooked. I'll send you a photo that I also have, one of my early photos where I've got this gigantic bat. I'm this little kid holding this gigantic bat. So I can relate.
Love it.
I love the theme of as we mature, how we relate to the game changes. And I remember I was just a Dodger diehard fan. I'd listened to Vin Scully, and if the Dodgers won, I was happy. And if they lost, I was depressed until they won again. But as I got older, my dad helped me to understand that be a Dodger fan, but also be a baseball fan.
Yeah.
And appreciate, even when somebody on the other team, appreciate Pete Rose, appreciate those guys. Don't just hate them, but appreciate them. You can still want your team to win, but appreciate the other great talents. And that was part of my maturing.
I think that baseball is a sport that allows you to do that maybe a little bit more than, say, football, where it's very, very, very difficult not to view it as sort of us against them. Our guys are the heroes, those guys are the enemies. It's a very violent and emotional game along those lines, and draws from that power. Baseball is a little bit different, and I think I'm astonished how many people say I love Henry Aaron, and they were not Braves fans. They were Yankee fans or Red Sox fans, but how could you not appreciate somebody of that caliber, not just as a player, but as a person and everything he represented. How could you not appreciate saying to people, I saw Willie Mays play,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so, the Dodgers and Giants, as you know better than anybody, have long had a very heated rivalry. And yet I I know many, many, many Dodgers fans who will tell you that the greatest things they ever saw, Sandy Koufax pitch and Willie Mays play center field. And I mean, I think that's so much at the heart of the game. I think right now, for an example, everybody loves Shohei Ohtani. You don't have to be an Angels fan to love
Absolutely.
Shohei Ohtani, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I have still snapshots that I took with a camera of Willie Mays and Willie McCovey at a Dodger Giants game. And I've got Willie looking at me, and oh my God, there's just like the most amazing thing. And I
Yeah,
love that he's still alive. God bless him.
it's
God
amazing.
bless
It's
him. Yeah.
so wonderful, and of course he's very much a part of this book. Though, so this really relates. Not to get to the book too early, but this so relates because what I knew was I wanted to write about exactly what we're talking about, which is why we love this game. And what I did was I asked people, players, managers, but just friends, people on the street, people I met, why do you love this game? And it's stories exactly like what you're telling. It's not so much, oh, I love the game because I love triples or I love, some specific element to the game. It's my dad taught me how to play the game. My mom played catch with me in the front yard. I remember the first time I walked and saw the green grass of the field. It's very personal, and I love that. And that's, I wanted, like, hey, can I capture that in a book? Can I capture those personal feelings about why we love this game? And it's exactly as we're talking about it.
I had an experience with Steve Garvey. I met him after he had retired. And so, of course, I went up and I did oh God, Garv, I love you, and da da da. And he looked at me and he smiled and he said, we had fun, didn't we?
Yeah.
And Joe, it was so inclusive. It was exactly what you're talking about. It's like Garv got it. It's like, we all shared those moments together.
It's so true. It's so true. And to me, it is moments. I mean, that is what this book is, a countdown and a look at moments, baseball moments. And I think beyond what the moments are in the book, I think that's exactly it. It's we share a moment. So if you go to a football game and you see an incredible performance by somebody on the other team, you go home angry, right? You go home like I personally will never forgive John Elway what he did to my teams, right? But in baseball, you go to a game and you see somebody throw a no-hitter, or you see somebody hit 3 home runs, or steal 4 bases, or go 5 for 5. You go home and you go, wow, I'm so happy I saw that. I'm so happy we shared that. Even if you're mad that your team lost, it's still, look what we shared. Look what you're a part of it. You're like a part of it. And so I think that's kind of specific to baseball. I really do.
Yeah. Yeah, I just went through that with Ronald Acuna. I'm like, and he just clobbered the Dodgers these last few days. I was like, oh God, all right, this guy maybe he really does deserve the MVP, even though, of course, I want Mookie to win it.
Of course. But that's right. How could you
So,
not say that? To me, and Mookie is my all-time favorite, of players today. Not just because of what a player he was, but what a delight, right? Just
oh,
everything about him shines
great human
joy,
being.
and
Great human being.
but how can you watch Ronald Acuna play baseball and not feel this thrill? I mean, we've never seen anything like this with a
We've
guy
never seen
who
that
steals
before.
60 bases and hits 30 home runs. It's never happened. It's never happened.
Yeah.
And so I do think that's right. And I think that was exactly what I heard from Dodger fans was, yeah, this Acuna, can't stand him, Mookie for MVP. But yeah, he's pretty good, isn't he? He's
It's pretty good. It's quite a race. Okay, so continuing on the journey of how we've matured in our love of baseball, When I was a kid, we played Stratomatic and we played, all-time all-star baseball with the dice. And then we got computers and we got, our baseball league. And my best friend, Richard, who will delight in watching this, he knows I'm doing the interview today. We created our first computer baseball league. Sure. And he said, man, we got to add the Negroes. We got to add those guys. So we did our own research and we figured out and we created a Negro all-star team. And I got to tell you, they kicked butt. They won with the best team in our league, of course, because, it was this incredible team. Though our Dodgers did pretty well too. We kind of,
of course.
But it gave us a chance to start researching and learning about all these guys. And you've played a big role in my greater understanding because of what you've written about and a lot of the research you did about a lot of the guys that I didn't even know before or didn't know enough about. So please tell me about how you matured into love of the Negro Leagues and your wonderful relationship with Buck O'Neil.
Yeah, I mean, it really does very much go back to Buck O'Neil. I had a moderate interest in the Negro Leagues, as I think many baseball fans do, but it was more or less limited to Satchel Paige and Josh Gibson. I think even very casual baseball fans were aware of how great they were. Maybe they've heard of Cool Papa Bell, of course, for the famous stories about him being so fast he could turn out the lights and be under the cover before the room got dark and so on. But it was pretty limited. And I met Buck O'Neil in 1992 at the All-Star game. He was there with Ken Burns. Ken Burns had just finished the baseball documentary that was on PBS, and Buck, of course, was the star of that documentary. So he brought Buck with him, and I met him, and I said, what an impressive person, what a great storyteller. You couldn't be around Buck without just loving him. But then I moved to Kansas City, and that's where Buck lived, and I became a sports columnist for the Kansas City Star when Buck was there. And I mean, I can't describe. Buck's a second father to me. I can't even fully describe how much Buck O'Neil meant to me and means to me to this day. I think about him every day. And the thing about Buck, there were a couple of things about Buck. So Buck, to give a quick rundown of his life and career, Buck was not allowed to. He was the grandson of a slave. He was not allowed to go to Sarasota High School. He found his way into the Negro Leagues, where he was a very, very good player. And then he became a manager in the Negro Leagues and a very successful manager. Along the way, he taught and raised players such as Ernie Banks, who was a very quiet, unassuming Texas kid until Buck sort of brought out the love and the let's play two joy that he brought the game. Billy Williams, who quit the game and was going to stay out of baseball until Buck talked him to going back in. And Lou Brock and Lee Smith and Joe Carter. I mean, there's on and on and on the list. As a scout, as a coach, he was the first African-American coach in the major leagues. But he spent the bulk of his life as this storyteller, historian of the game, somebody who, at a time when people weren't necessarily willing to listen, he was telling stories about how great these players were and how they shouldn't be forgotten. And it was just being around that was so incredible to me. And of course, at first I told the stories just because they were so wonderful. And after a while, as Buck and I got closer, it became sort of I wanted to carry some of that burden on my shoulder. I mean, Buck had been carrying it for so many years. My friend and brother, Bob Kendrick, who is president of the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum in Kansas City, which I hope anybody, if you're ever in or around Kansas City, go. It's an incredible place. We sort of felt like, and Buck sort of intimated to us that we needed to sort of carry on. And of course, Bob is black and I am white, but that didn't matter to Buck. Buck, for Buck, it was, these are these are players who should be remembered. This is a league that should be remembered. These are the players who played before Jackie Robinson. He always used to say, we built the bridge that Jackie Robinson and others could walk across. And when you're around somebody like that without any bitterness, no bitterness in his heart, just someone who nothing but love and faith in humanity, to be around that kind of person, you just soak it in. And I learned, more from Buck than anybody except my own parents. I mean, he was that special to us. And I miss him, but I feel like he's around. I think of him so often, and think about what he would think about anything that happens. I'm like, how would Buck do it? Because Buck was so positive. You could not break him. Like sometimes you would say, look at this guy and what a jerk. And Buck would be like, you have to look at it from his side. And he was just that kind of person. And of course, my first book was The Soul of Baseball, about Buck O'Neill, where I traveled the country with him. And I cannot tell you, that was in basically the last full year of his life that I traveled the country with him. And I can't tell you how blessed I feel. I mean, I knew Buck already by then. We were friends by then. But to be able to travel the country with Buck O'Neill, before we lost him, was something I'll cherish forever.
Joe, what a blessing. That is incredible. That really is incredible. Yeah. And I believe in karma. So what good karma you had to attract that experience. And that you have, the very fact that you were in Kansas City where the museum is and you met him,
Yes.
these things, the big things in our life, there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
And I think your love of baseball matched his love of baseball. And I think that's where the two of you really probably bonded, in that mutual love.
I think that's true. He taught me to love baseball even more in his own way. But I always tell this story. People always say, how did you start to write that book, The Soul of Baseball, my very first book? And I tell this story, and it's exactly as I remember it. He called me up one day and said, let's go to lunch. And there used to be this wonderful soul food restaurant called the Peachtree, which was right there on 18th and Vine, which is the very famous jazz and blues corner in Kansas City. And we went to the Peachtree and we were sitting and we were eating and the food was delicious. It was great. And at the end, Buck started just talking. And he said, everybody thinks the Negro Leagues was this terrible thing, right? Because it was built on racism, built on prejudice, and built on hatred. And he goes, but it wasn't built on those things. It was built on love, the players rising above their moment. And he goes, and we just had so much fun. We just were such that we could play, and we played every day, and we had so much fun. And he said, somebody needs to write that story. Somebody needs to write about the way the Negro Leagues really were. Somebody, and he kept saying somebody, and I was like the only one there, right? So at some point it became clear to me, like, oh, he means me. He wants me to write this book. And that's, in a roundabout way, because I went about it a bunch of different ways, but that's what led to The Soul of Baseball, was Buck basically asking me to tell the story. And he had written his own book, which is wonderful, called I Was Right on Time, which is sort of Buck's old line. People would always say, oh, I bet you wish you were born later. And he goes, no, I was right on time, because if I had played later, I wouldn't have been able to know Louis Armstrong and know Ella Fitzgerald and so on and so on and so on. So for me, it was very much what an honor to have Buck come to me and basically ask me to do this. And the only sadness for me is that we lost him. I literally just finished the book. I was, the last time I saw him, I told him, next time I see you, I'll bring the book and I'll read it to you. And he was gone 2 weeks later. But I kind of feel like in some ways he knows what's in the book, he knows. And it was very special.
Beautiful. Well, I'm going to pause it there because, to be honest, he and I went on and on and on because we were two baseball junkies having a great time. I hope that was interesting for all of you. I know that baseball is not a typical topic, but I just want to remind you, as the great Thomas Boswell wrote, he was another baseball writer, the closest thing to human perfection is 90 feet between the bases. What does that mean? Well, if it was 80 feet between the bases, everybody could steal every base every time. And if it was 100 feet between the bases, nobody would ever be able to steal a base. But 90 feet is just, well, you got to be really, really good, but you can do it. And there is a whole perfection to the numerology of baseball. And maybe that's another show sometime. But I do hope you enjoyed that section. And I know you've all enjoyed Laara. I see all the comments that have come in there. And Facebook got lit up with all the people appreciating Laara and Linda. So thank you. It's been really, really fun. Before I go to Omashar for our closing song, I do want to let people know that we've got a great show this Saturday night. We're going to continue our celebration of Peace Week by really looking at, okay, how do we create peace locally and globally? Our keynote speaker is David Gershon. He's the guy who created the Global Peace Empowerment Institute and coined the whole vision of peace, global peace, by the year 2030. Maria Stark, one of my favorite friends, she's a really dear soul sister of mine and a brilliant musical artist, is going to be with us playing music. And of course, Omashar will be playing music as well. Ben and Becky and a lot of our other friends from Peace Week will be with us. And we're going to take a look at what Shri and Kira created with all of their Indigenous elders. So that's this Saturday night. So please do join us. I see that Laara is still with us. So Laara, thank you so much for still being in the Zoom room and blessing us with your presence. Maybe you learned a little bit about baseball, a little bit about Bucker Hill.
That was absolutely wonderful. And I have friends who will absolutely love that book. So I'm thinking, who can I send this to?
Why We Love Baseball is a great book. I'm at night, I can't stop reading it. It's like story after story. It's so heartwarming. And most of those guys I know, but I didn't know the details, you know? So it's very, very cool. All right, Mr. Omega Man, you are the Alpha and now you are the Omega. How's your evening been?
My evening has been wonderful. I've loved our guests, and I mean Linda and Laara, beautiful, open-hearted infill of information which I really needed to hear. Thank you so much, and to not only hear, to feel, because the momentum and the habit is to always go to the head, whereas we know now that the whole of humanity needs to do is to lead from the heart. And so every reminder, I need to be reminded that about 1,000 times an hour. And it works, because slowly you go, oh, okay, so this is a listening organ too, and a speaking organ. And that's as much as I'm going to say on that. But within the context of this opening, this awakening, to suddenly be listening to an interview with a baseball genius, and to watch Scott light up because it's one of his passions, it put it in a whole different perspective on how I looked at it. And I was looking, I wrote in the chat, the Zen of baseball, and it really is, because if you think of it not just from that meatiness, the fleshiness of the whole thing, but from a wider perspective, like what Scott was just saying about the 90 yards between each thingamajig, shows you how much I know about baseball. But anyway, there it is. So thank you, Laara, and look forward to the next time you're on Scott's show. And this is a song called Feel the Love, and we're going to feel the love, or feel the baseball if you want. It's all good.
All right. Do, 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 do. new feeling here in my heart. It's been a long time coming, it tore me apart. I looked into your eyes, you love me a lot. You were the one who helped me change my thought. And now I'm singing, feel the love, feel the love come tumbling down. Feel the love, and let it turn you around. We're singing, feel the love, feel the love come tumbling down. Feel the love, and let it turn you around, turn you around. You looked into my eyes, you spoke only truth. I found I couldn't live with myself until I opened to you, open to you. So now I'm doing the right thing, just doing the right thing. It's the only way I know, and I'm not ashamed of myself. I'm just going with the flow, going with the flow and saying, feel the love, feel the love come tumbling down. Feel the love, and let it turn you around, turn you around. We're singing, feel the love, feel the love come tumbling down. Feel the love, and let it turn you around, turn you around. Now about this new feeling here in my heart, I won't let it leave me, I won't let us part. I've been waiting a long time for you to enter my life, and now I'm with you forever, I'm with you forever. Singing, feel the love, feel the love come tumbling down. Feel the love, and let it turn you around, turn you around. We're singing, feel the love, feel the love come tumbling down. Feel the love, and let it turn you around, turn you around. We're singing, feel the love, feel the love come tumbling down. Feel the love, and let it turn you around, turn you around. We're singing, feel the love, feel the love come tumbling down. Feel the love, and let it turn you around, turn you around, and let it turn you around, turn you around, and let it turn you around, turn you around. We can be happy.
Oh, that was fantastic. Wow. Wow. What a great song. And I just love watching everybody dancing and feeling all the love.
It's, yeah, I know, it's so fun.
The love, right?
Feel the love, yes.
The love of Laara and the light codes, the love of Linda and her business, and the love of baseball, and the love of Amashar.
It was a complete show tonight from every level of human experience.
It's true. And I love the diversity. And what we
Right.
have in common, doing it with love.
Doing it with love, and for me, the joy was to be able to perceive into baseball with different eyes. So thank you. Yeah.
That was my goal. All right, everybody. I love you all so much. Hey, remember, it is time to register. If you haven't registered for the new season, now is the time to do it. The link is in the chat box, or just go to globalpeacetribe.com and click register for the new season. It really, really helps because I want to continue to do this show, but I need your support in order to do that. So let's register and let's continue doing 2 or 3 shows every week through the end of the year.
And tune into peaceweek.org because there's Wednesday, there's Thursday, Friday, Saturday. There's so much going on there, and it's a really good cause to be a part of.
Absolutely. Yeah. Peaceweek.org. I'll go to it one more time.
And you know, you can actually watch stuff even without registering. You can still watch. You can go onto Unity TV and watch. So if you do not want to register, just watch on unitytv.earth, is it? I think. Anyway, it says on PC.
Yes, unity.earth. Unity.earth.
Yeah. They have their own television channel now. Holy smoke. They have a peace channel.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing. You're a good thing, Obasher, and all of you are wonderful. Look forward to seeing you on Saturday night. We've got a great show Saturday night. And lots of love. Have a wonderful few days. We'll see you on Saturday. Thanks again, Laara. Oh, I'm going to go to gallery view, although turn on your cameras, you guys. Don't be shy.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Take care, everybody. Good night.